Years ago, we had a parent reach out to us and they told us that their child, 14 years old, was suicidal. And she saw a Dapper Boi ad of us just being our confident selves. And she started smiling again, knowing that she belongs on this earth, that there are people just like her. Like that is a very serious impact of our brand. And that is why, Sharice and I will do anything. Dapper Boi is our third child because we know the responsibility that we have and all the no's that we get and all the rejection that we see. We remember these stories and remember our why, and we will find our way always.
Welcome, everyone, to F5 Collective presents Women in Business, another episode. Today, we are with Vicky Pasche of Dapper Boi, which is a very inclusive, big word, clothing line for everybody and everybody. I'm just so excited to be speaking to Vicky, and she's joining us from Valencia, Spain. I'm so grateful to her for that. So Vicky, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Linda, I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, what was so great is we got the chance to meet last year, I guess, in Sacramento. And when we put together the podcast, I was really looking forward to the opportunity to learn more about Dapper Boi and about your journey towards creating this really beautiful, inclusive brand that really is for everybody. And I'm just curious. So to start, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, where you came from, and really, how there's a few things, because you also worked in the casino industry, which is funny because so did I in a weird sort of way.
You did? No way.
We'll get there in a minute. But so tell me a little bit about yourself, where you came from, the whole deal.
Yeah, sure. So I am born and raised in upstate New York, actually, Saratoga specifically. And I just remember, graduating college from Plattsburgh State University, as far north as you can go, and then having to make a decision of what I was going to do. And us upstaters are a little scared of New York City. And so I knew I didn't want to go there. But my aunt and uncle lived in San Diego, California, and it was a place that I loved going to visit as a kid, growing up, yearly or every other year. Mm-hmm. And my uncle was like, hey, you know what? You just graduated college. Why don't you come live with us for a summer, experience something different? And I did. I was working for their shop. It was called the Mail Bank at the time. And it was kind of like a postal annex type of place, / gift shop. And I started, loving life in San Diego. Next thing I know, my uncle's like, why don't you start, applying for jobs? And I did. And I got a job, because I graduated with a mass media communication degree. I was looking for anything in marketing, honestly. Okay. And I was getting these kind of door-to-door gigs, and they were terrible. And then I saw one came up as a Players Club ambassador in the marketing department at Viejas Casino in San Diego. And I got the job. And so I went home 10 days, got all my stuff, say goodbye to all my family and friends. And I moved to San Diego and, was there through 6 months ago when I moved to Valencia, Spain now through 2025.
So I was about to ask you, how did you end up working in marketing in a casino? What was that experience like? I mean, really, what was that experience like to be doing that kind of work in that kind of environment?
Yeah, so it was a entry-level position, mm-hmm. and it was the perfect role to begin because it was a very customer service role. It was signing people up for the Players Club card basically. And so that's the rewards card where, casinos can track your play and give you points and reward you and things like that. And then you kind of work your way up, as a player to VIP status where you get hosts and things of that nature. And so I learned a lot in that role, talking to customers, how that side of marketing works. But what was really interesting was I moved through that role quickly. Right after that, I was getting so many signups, for people signing up for the card that they moved me to this VIP ambassador. So I was in the VIP, high roller lounge. I was getting to know those customers. But it was kind of slow. So I started writing casino promotions based on their feedback to the point where this is a kind of a crazy story. And good thing I was naive and ignorant and just maybe a little cocky. I don't know. But like I was writing these promotions and I went to my supervisor and I said, I want to talk to vice president of marketing. I want to present my ideas.
Oh my gosh, good for you though. Come
Yeah. Yeah.
on.
Well, it's thinking back now and this man was scary. I actually got the meeting, which is crazy because I'm like this, on the casino floor in with, everybody. And I got to go upstairs behind the scenes. And I remember
Wow.
being so nervous. And this guy he was like poker face, completely like straight face. And I'm like, well, these are my ideas. And I presented them. And
Wow.
he said, this is terrible. Yeah, he said they were terrible. And I remember I just remember walking away from this meeting feeling so defeated. And then the next day, literally, I'm on the casino floor and I'm at my little desk and I get a call from upstairs. And they say, hey, we want you to start as an events and promotions coordinator tomorrow. Like
Whoa.
literally. So I went from working the floor to now I'm going through this market, like truly going through all the marketing departments, starting in, events and promotions, which was such a segue to like my career. So events and promotions, eventually supervisor, eventually manager. Then I moved to another casino where I was a director of the entire marketing department. So I really, worked my way through the system there and learned a whole lot along the way.
Well, but it also, it speaks to the fact that you took that leap. I mean, you took a chance. You went to
Yes.
how would this have happened if you had not done that? If you hadn't
Right.
just gone for it for yourself, which then, okay, so it feels like that's kind of the basis for everything else. Because I was going to ask you, because you've gone from this into fashion, which is kind of a different. Did you always have an interest in fashion, or did this surprise you a little bit? Because I know, because I also want you to speak to how Dapper Boy came about. But I
Yeah.
know that, this is something that you just felt in your heart you had to do, but it's completely different.
Absolutely. It's completely different. But here's what happened. It's really like my own confidence journey because,
Hmm.
imagine myself working in the casino. It's a perfect segue to this actually. I had long hair and I felt I was shopping in the women's department. I felt, and I always use these words, but it's just true. I felt frumpy, like
Mm,
really unseen, and had confidence enough to, do these things and manage teams and things like that, but never confidence in myself and my appearance and like feeling my true, like authentic self.
hmm.
Always wear, I don't know, these shirts that were ill fitting, the pants I hated from the women's department. I just felt it was too feminine for men. I was
Mm,
always like masculine on the inside and I didn't know or care about women's clothing. So
yeah.
again, I just felt like just not confident. And so it was interesting when I started wearing, or actually, it was 2010 when I actually chopped my hair.
Wow.
And my friend in particular had a very courageous conversation with me because she saw kind of the direction I was going, but I still had these big hoop earrings. And I had my cross body bag and like, it was just like kind of off place. And she sat me down and was like, hey, I feel like you're trying to go this direction. And she
Mm,
almost like just gave me permission because I was always afraid what people were going to think about me. And so
yeah.
I remember she took me, actually, it was to like a gay bar because I just came out of the closet at this point too. And like, it was just crazy times in my life. And she started pointing out different kind of like masculine presenting women. And she was like, do you resonate with that? And I'm like, yeah. And so she took me literally shopping in the men's department. I remember trying on my very first outfit from Old Navy in particular.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And it was jeans. It was jeans and a button up shirt. And I was like, yes, I had never felt so confident. And
Hmm.
because she gave me that permission, I felt seen. I felt safe. And I was like, this is who I am. And all of a sudden I was shining, you know?
Wow.
It's just a different world.
Well, it's so funny because you're making this. So you take this incredible experience, and then what ended up pushing you to the point where you thought, I've now got to take this and leap into an entirely different industry that I know nothing about, and coming from another industry that is already incredibly complicated, and
Yes.
So, what was that kind of like aha moment of this? I have to actually do this and make sure that other people can access this.
Yeah, so it was meeting my wife, who is a
Okay.
co-founder of Dapper Boi. And so again, 2010, I was coming out. I was now shopping in the men's department. I cared so much about fashion now. But the funny
Wow.
thing was, now meeting my wife 2 years later, 2012, she's like a super femme fashionista. And she's like, "You look like a hot mess," is what she says. Because these men's clothing actually it just didn't fit my body. I had to
Yeah.
wear two sizes too big, to get around my butt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I looked like a mess, even though I felt like this was me. But like imagine I'm trying to, I'm wearing this button-up shirt and I wear it to like my chest and leave it out with a tank top underneath like it's in style. But it's because I couldn't button it. My
Right.
jeans, my jeans were two sizes too big. So I was just like, just awkward. And so what happened was is she started bringing me home men's clothes because she thought maybe I was picking the wrong stuff. And she'd be like, try this. And it
Mhm.
fit the same exact way.
Right.
And so at the time I was wearing suits to, my casino job. I was a, director of a marketing department. And I was like, yeah, I would really like a nice fitting suit. So Dapper Boy, original logo, had a bow tie in it because it was supposed to start with suits.
Oh,
But what
okay.
happened is when we were going to launch our brand on Kickstarter, we saw that there were other companies that had the same exact idea doing the same thing. And I
Uh,
said, you know what? The clothes I actually get excited about are the everyday wear, the jeans. And I remember that very first experience shopping jeans, in
mhm.
Old Navy. And then I saw women like me that looked more masculine presenting have the same exact issue with button up shirts with jeans. And I said, this is it. This is Dapper Boy. And I love the name still because I felt like Dapper, it's not necessarily suits. It's like confidence. It's like
Mhm.
you can wear like a pair of joggers with a denim jacket and feel so dapper that you're
Mhm.
just like, it's like confidence. And I just love the play on words with the boy, the BOI, that it could be anybody. And
Yeah.
so we just rolled with it. We went with it. And we were on the hunt now without a fashion background to try to figure out how to make this pair of jeans.
Oh my gosh. Well, so then, so you start that, and then what was that transition like moving into that, and then really basically now having to source these different things? Because I think that would be
Yeah,
really interesting for folks to understand.
for sure. Yeah, especially without having this background at all. So
Right.
it's not an easy just Google search for manufacturers. And that's what we were doing, and whoever we did find, they pretty much hung up on us. They were like, do you know what you're talking about? Like, do you know we have minimums and do you have a pattern? I
Oh,
said, no,
wow.
but I have this idea. And I can't even tell you the amount of times we got hung up on until there was one manufacturer in Los Angeles in particular that said, I really think you're onto something. I want to pair you up with our pattern maker and help you develop this first sample. So we did that. And so what we did was Charisse and I, my wife,
Hmm.
and co-founder, went to find our favorite pair of women's and men's jeans. And we just took notes on everything, what we loved about them, what we hated about them. And we really just morphed the two worlds. And we went to this pattern maker. For example, to this day, women's jeans still stop short at your knuckles. Like you don't have pockets. It's ridiculous that they're not functional.
Yeah.
Men's jeans at that time, I mean, they have a lot more stretch nowadays, but at that time, there was like no stretch. There was no
Yeah.
comfort. There was no give in the hip region. But I
Yeah.
love the way the aesthetic of them. Also, men's jeans lasted so much longer. Women's jeans, I felt like was just fast fashion for a
Hmm.
reason.
Hmm.
And the materials weren't made to last. It was like ultra stretch. And I was really looking for a happy medium. I wanted that fit from the women's without the super form tight fitting. Like, what was the medium, drop, where the,
Yeah.
the crotch isn't so long and hanging and all those things. And so it took us 6 months to develop this first sample, which is a
Wow.
really long time considering now what I know when I'm starting to develop a new product. It could
Hmm.
take, maximum 2 months, maybe,
Wow.
if
Yeah.
that. So we learned a lot along the way here. But once we had those jeans, we had literally two pairs in my size and Sharice's size. And we tried to find everybody in these sizes and had them wear these jeans. And we started
Wow.
taking photos of our friends dancing around the streets of San Diego, wearing these jeans, doing photo shoots on our iPhones. And, that's how we were able to like get all the photography, everything we needed for this first launch on Kickstarter.
Oh gosh. Wow. So from Kickstarter, then so you started online, right? This was all online at first, right?
Everything. Yes.
Everything?
Continues to be.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Okay. And but now so you've now, however, created a partnership with, is it
Nordstrom.
Nordstrom? Yes. And
Yes.
so now with Nordstrom, you're in their brick and mortar as well as online with them. Is that correct? Or just
We're only
online?
online right
Only
now.
online?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we're still in like a testing phase of like, okay, how can we perform online drop shipping? And then at some point, hopefully we get into some flagship stores and then hopefully that goes well and it continues. But what's really great about Nordstrom, this is amazing, is that they put us in both the men's and women's section of their store.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's pretty incredible. And I think the first, that we were able to
Yeah.
do that with.
Well, it speaks so much to the purpose of the brand, right? And the inclusivity of it all. How has that been for you to go from, because it's always so interesting to me of I've got total control. I'm, doing the online stuff myself, but then to now be working with a company that has this legacy of fashion in them. What's it been like, that transition to now having this established partner?
Yeah, I think that it's been interesting because we have only done direct to consumer on our
Right.
own, website. And so learning even just down to the SKUs to like how they the numbering system of their products and
Mm-hmm.
GTIN, whatever, like these different like labels that you have to have. It just put us in a different level of organization, honestly. Everything is still going through our Shopify store, so it's a seamless experience, but getting set up has definitely helped us get into our next level of retail so that we are prepared. So this was the perfect starting ground working with Nordstrom in this way. It was a long onboarding process for
Mm-hmm.
sure, but now it has like set us up for when we're ready to go into retail. And I love that. So we're still in, I feel like, phase one of this relationship, but
Mm-hmm.
they have a team that's super responsive and awesome in this way too. And so that has been amazing.
What would you say is, I love hearing that because then it really does kind of set you up for success, right? You can move forward and take the confidence that you already have and just build upon it by going into that because it is such a unique place for you to be. And I'm just talking about from fashion because I, I just keep looking at that and thinking how incredible that Vicky actually thought, I'm just going to do this because it's important. What is so unique about the fashion industry? Because I do hear that it's a very difficult place to navigate. What makes it such a difficult industry to navigate?
Yeah, I think for us in particular, and I can speak to that because we're even, working through this right now, is we started again as a brand that was for women that looked like me.
Right.
But what was really interesting was very quickly after we launched, we had, straight cis men trying on our jeans saying, "Oh my God, you solved my problem too." That they have the same euphoria trying on these jeans like I have,
Mm-hmm.
or these straight femme women that are, or just feminine women. It doesn't matter sexual orientation in this, but I feel like that's just like an easy way for people to kind of grasp this right
Yeah.
now anyway, as it's like so complex, is still having the euphoria of like the deep pockets, like the function of jeans,
Yeah.
so we have like these different customer personas, that we are advertising to. And so what's been interesting is breaking this binary way of thinking and
Mm-hmm.
and convincing people that it's not about gender at all. That
Yeah.
it should be based, the shopping experience should be based on style preference and body type. And so we're just kind of trying to break people's way of thinking. And I think right now, still, people see us as, oh, that lesbian brand. You're not for me because you're a lesbian brand. And it's just so funny because it is, and I get that because you see my face everywhere and you're like, oh, that's cool what they're doing, but like not for me. And so we're really working hard on like, what do people see when they see our brands? We're working on finding other spokespeople in all of these categories because
Mm-hmm.
it's not only plus size people either. I'm plus size, but like we have men, women, trans folk, non-binary people that are the smallest of sizes to the largest of sizes to super athletic with thick thighs, that we're solving their problem to plus size, and so
Mm-hmm.
we're solving all these problems for these people. And how do we speak to them without them feeling so overwhelmed? And I think with
Right.
our experience in like going into Nordstrom, things like that, and something we're working through, and what can help with like AI and virtual fittings, things like that, is like, what's the first model you see? When you go to the website, when you go to Nordstrom, when at first we were like, okay, we're doing these super skinny jeans. We have a very feminine model with high heels in them. But guess what? That image is the same that they're seeing in their men's department too. So
Yep.
like, how do we make that so it's like more androgynous, that you could see yourself in that image? And so like, these are things we're really working through right now. And it's going to be interesting as we start scaling and growing at the same time.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, and it seems like it would be an incredible benefit how your marketing background has been helping you with this. It must be
Yes.
incredibly helpful. How have you been able to kind of pull onto that?
Definitely. I think the casino marketing, it's obviously a totally different industry,
Right,
but the departments are the same. And yeah,
right.
we're a small team. We're running all of those departments, but it's like thinking through each of these like key roles, and what do
Mm-hmm.
they do and how do they play into this, and knowing the right teams that we need to hire. I think that for me personally, it goes even from when I was a kid, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I was always the kid with a video camera in my hand, making off the wall, goofy videos, commercials. I would write commercials. Like, I wish I could find them. I got to ask my mom, but like, we would make Dentine gum commercials with our friends, or like deodorant ads, and like, the craziest things, but they were always humorous. And I feel like that's how, like, we were doing viral moments before viral was like really a thing. Just
Mm-hmm.
like having, I remember writing an R&B 90s style song about button up shirts. And I had my friends all sing their different roles, like we're boys to men, and literally dancing in these button up shirts. And people were just like, you guys are crazy. Like, we like it. And, it just started, hitting people in the most, like, do you ever have this problem? Showing the chest gap, but like dancing around. Like, it was the people resonating with us,
Wow.
feeling confident, seeing
Mm-hmm.
us, people wanting to be our friends. That was our difference in how we were like starting to become viral and selling
Right.
out of productions quickly in that way. It was just like really relating to people on where they're at.
Yeah, that's big. That's why I think the Dapper Boy brand is so appealing, because it is reaching out and speaking to folks where they are, right? You bring up an incredibly wonderful point. My sons are these big guys, and one's 6'3.5", and one of them's like 6'1.5", 6'2", whatever, and they were pretty athletic or whatever, and finding clothes that fit them because they have hips and they have thighs and they have this, and they think, I kind of feel like I can't always get the right kind of pants for me or the right kind of this for me. So I mentioned Dapper Boy to them, and I said, I really think we should start looking at that because I think you'll be really happy. So
That's awesome.
we're definitely your target audience. So I have a couple of target audiences for you. Now, you created Dapper Boy. I mean, it's addressing this very specific need, and I want you to kind of speak to, because it feels like there is that. It feels like there's this beautiful kind of competitive advantage to having something that's so inclusive and so uniquely. I can see myself there. Um, you know, how has that been building this kind of brand? The importance of building this brand and making sure that you are remaining inclusive, because that is something that you speak to so beautifully. The fact
Thank
that
you.
you want to make sure that everybody can see themselves in it, because that's the whole point of it.
Yeah, it for me, my whole goal here is to go mainstream with purpose, because I don't want to be in the pride section during the month of June at Target, and like there's Vicky going to her
Yeah.
place, like that's where she's supposed to shop.
Yeah.
Like, I hated that feeling. I wanted to belong with everybody else. This is not a political agenda. I know the word gender can be so triggering for so many people.
Yeah.
And so we're just trying to showcase our best, most confident selves and people relating in that way. But I will say too, like we get stories all the time about, I mean, daily, that we're changing people's lives, their confidence, their self-worth. And I know that we stand above the rest because of that. Like I
Mm-hmm.
always share this one story in particular because it is that impactful. Years ago, we had a parent reach out to us and they told us that their child, 14 years old, was suicidal,
Mm-hmm.
and she saw a Dapper Boi ad of us just being our confident selves, and she started smiling again, knowing that she belongs on this earth, that there are people just like her. Like
Wow.
that is a very serious impact of our brand, and that is why, Sharice and I will do anything. Dapper Boi is our third child because we know the responsibility that we have, and all the no's that we get and all the rejection that we see. We remember these stories and remember our why, and we will find our way always.
Yeah, the value of the why, the importance of the why. You know, uh, Kelly, and we speak to that a lot. Really knowing what drove you to do whatever it was that led you into entrepreneurship, and with that in mind, how was that not just a transition from casino world to fashion, but literally leaving that kind of bubble and leaping into entrepreneurship? What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was a scary thing. And I felt like I had to know everything
Mm.
and do everything myself in order to prove myself, because you're not taught this. I don't remember learning entrepreneurship in school.
Right.
I don't remember learning
Yeah.
even finances, and that this could be a possibility, so you're just going for it. And people are like, wow, you're brave, but they're also really watching you, and so you feel like you
Yeah.
have to be perfect and know everything, and that, you don't have to, it's too soon to rely on people. But this is like big lessons learned right from the beginning. Like, and I
Mm-hmm.
tell people all the time, connect early and often, even before you're ready to fundraise, if you even need that.
Yeah.
Like there's so many lessons learned in this business. But man, who I am today compared to 2015 starting this thing is a completely different person.
Yeah.
As a confident founder. But all of those things were so important, and you can't take anything back because every little thing here, as crazy as this ride is, those lowest of lows, like when you find that strength, like that was my skin is so thick, I am so resilient. Then I was like naive and I was
Yep.
excited, which is good, which is what you need to like drive this. But like not giving up after 11 years, we still go through. I mean, every day is like, what is going to happen
Yeah.
today? We're
Yeah.
still proving, we're still fundraising, we're still doing all that stuff. But man, I have a different confidence and also a clear path in where we're going.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, where do you get your resilience? Is there something, and how do you manage that? This is my baby, and I need a minute. How
Yeah.
what do you do to make sure that you don't, let's be honest, burn out or figure, okay, I gotta take a minute. I'm done.
Yeah, and I can take a minute. And luckily, I
Yeah.
have my wife,
Yeah.
and it doesn't work for everybody being married to your co-founder. That is for
Hmm.
sure. But she knows me, and in the beginning, when times were hard, and we're selling our house for this brand, um, she, when I just want to hide under my desk, she's like, "Take your minute." But it's got to be a minute, honestly, because we have things to do. Let's go. We can't nothing good can happen from us just being, yes, rest is important, but like we can't
Yeah.
be down. There's a difference between that, like
Yeah.
needing rest and just like hiding away from craziness.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
There is
will
a
say,
difference.
yeah. Yes, yes. I literally, and I have it right here because I write it every day. So this right
Oh,
here,
okay.
it's the 5 minute journal, and every day I write in it, and it gives you a good quote in the morning, and it literally is 5 minutes. I write every single day what I'm grateful for, what would make today great, my daily affirmation, and then at nighttime before I go to sleep, highlights of the day and what I learned for the day. It's quick
Wow.
and it's just a reminder. It's like a good place to start, mentally each day.
No, that's
I
excellent.
swear by it. I just finished my first journal, which was a year-long process, and now I do it.
Good for you. Well, I think it's really important to get into that rhythm that helps you. Those things that you can do on the daily or monthly, whatever it has to be, that can get you to take a breath, and then keep
Oh yeah.
going, right?
Yes.
And
Meditation, all of that.
yeah, all of it. Whatever that keep going is for you. It's that.
Yes.
Well, I what one of the things I heard is, the Kickstarter, and what I think would be great is to hear about the different ways, because a lot of times when people think about entrepreneurship, they figure, okay, I got to do the VC, I got to do this, I got to do this.
Right.
But, speaking to the different possibilities of other types of funding and how you even prepared for that. What did you
Yeah.
do in preparation for all of that?
Yeah, so for Kickstarter in particular, that was really interesting. I read an article, it was like a Tim Ferriss, like he raised like 100K within 10 days on Kickstarter. And I followed that actually pretty close to a T, just to get your like mafia crowd like behind you. And so what we did was, and how it kind of morphed and helped our business after that. After Kickstarter, we took it to our own Shopify store. But I
Mm-hmm.
would say originally, without having any background, never doing this before, it was one content, and it was like our personal story. Because
Mm-hmm.
people buy into the story, like in what
Yep.
you're trying to do and what is your mission. And we were just like filming, and filming our friends and their stories and how they fit into the clothes. We were addressing the problem. But then after that, what we did was kind of create FOMO. That's what we're kind of known for. And like reaching out to anybody who would listen. I remember finding, it was Twitter at the time. Any writers, we would look for hashtags on like gender neutral clothing, any kind of fashion. And we found those authors in particular who wrote articles about that. And we just wrote them, sent them DMs. Hey, we're doing this. And that's how we got our first. During Kickstarter, we got an article written in Entrepreneur magazine.
Oh my
Can you
gosh.
imagine?
How
Right.
cool is that?
Right. We got on, I think it was like Fox 5 in the morning, San Diego. We got on multiple news stations just because we were like, who can we reach out to? And that was just our own free work of like writing a particular, we had a set, copy list on the side. We were just reaching out as much as possible. We were doing videos. We were having people share. And what we did with this viral sharing moment is before we even launched the campaign, we got all of our friends and family, everybody we knew on Facebook at that time, and just everybody agreed to do this viral post. So like automatically, I don't think the app exists anymore, but it would automatically schedule a post and say, my friend Vicky and Charisse, they're launching this brand, Dapper Boi, check them out. And it all went off at the same exact time on one particular day. And it got everybody there. Like, so
Oh my
we were,
God.
I think we did, 10K in our first 10 days. And that was a big deal, from not having anything and knowing
Yeah.
this. We were like, oh my God. So, yeah, that's how the brand started.
Oh wow. So this is wonderful, and I love that people can hear that there's, there are different ways to go about this, and you got to just go for it. You got to go
Yes.
for it.
And from there, so how do we take it to our own business now through our
Yeah.
Shopify store? So after that, we successfully launched. Our goal was 18,000. We raised 26,000 for our first production. But what we didn't know then is that you need to raise a lot more. It's not just the production. You need
Right.
marketing dollars. You need it for all these teams. Like all these things. So we were like out of cash real quick. And so like 1 year later, we're like, do we close the doors? Like we're out of jeans. What do we do? So we literally were like, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. What if we did this whole pre-order campaign? So what we did was we made our own Shopify website. I remember the next product after jeans, and that's what we launched our Kickstarter on, was a button-up shirt. And what we did was we added, this is what we're kind of known for with our button-up shirts. We added these hidden snaps behind the button placket to prevent, the dreaded chest
Yep.
gap you get when
Yep.
wearing button-up shirts. And those videos went viral. But what we did was we said, hey, everybody, get in on this special price. You get 20% off up front instead of at the end of the life of a product. And you have 3 weeks only to get in on this product. And we only can get 300 in each color. And it was one color at the time, the first launch. And we did 30,000 in a month.
Whoa. Whoa.
Imagine we're
Wow.
about to close the shop to 30,000 actually in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And so
Whoa.
we knew that was how we did it. And so that's how we bootstrapped this brand. It was a great way to test product, a great way to not sit on inventory. We took those same two products, jeans and button-up shirts, and just finding different colorways. We'd say, okay, guys, now we have 5 of these button-up shirts. We have two new colors of jeans. And so every couple of months we were launching, and went from zero to like 250 in sales in one year. The next year 500, then the next year a million, the next year 1 point, so it was just going from there. And so to
Wow.
know the stats of like women owned businesses, obviously we all know the VC stat of like less than 2% of women owned businesses or less than 2% of VC dollars go to women-owned
Right.
businesses, less
Yeah.
than 1% to LGBTQ BIPOC. But also the stat, and this is by Wells Fargo, is that less than 1% of women-owned businesses, or 2% of women-owned businesses are hitting over $1 million a year.
Wow.
And we were doing that. And I know that is due to us being underfunded for
Yeah.
sure, like why women are getting, not producing these results. And so we were proud of ourselves. And that's when we were like, wow, we're doing $1 million, my wife and I, and two part-time employees shipping products.
Yep.
Like we were killing it. And so now what we were going to do, we knew we needed growth money. We knew we didn't want to do pre-orders forever. And that's how we knew, okay, we got to start fundraising. And how the hell do we do this?
Whoa. So then so then you moved from that. Then what did you decide to do for fundraising? What did you end up doing?
Yeah. So the first thing that we did equity crowdfunding.
Okay.
So it was through Start Engine at that time. And so it was very similar to our, how we made the brand. We would go to
Mm-hmm.
our customers and we raised, over 200, was it $284,000 from over
Wow.
500 essentially customers, that was between 19 or 2019 and 20. So it's kind of a long time frame, what was good, obviously it was like great traction, with the customers, but with equity crowdfunding, every single investment needs to close. So it was kind of
Yeah.
taking time and we get kind of drips of money. And it was never like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not like we got that all at one time. So I felt like that was a great, segue to our next, what we needed to do next was like, now we're raising on a safe note, a seed round, things like that. But at that time, that was amazing. And we definitely learned from that. And we had this awesome following of customers that now feel even more like they are now owners of the company.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool. Now, how many different styles or products do you have? So if I go online, like you went
Yep.
from jeans and a button down
Yeah.
shirt. How many products do you
Yes.
now have?
Yeah, so we have close to 30, and I would say they're all, and we're always rotating through these like
Mm-hmm.
baseline products. So we have like anywhere from jeans, button-ups, t-shirts, which are like the best fitting t-shirts, but not suctioning to your stomach, all of that, to swimwear. We're going to be launching activewear, bomber jackets, Henleys, polo shirts, full
Oh,
everyday
cool.
line.
Yeah.
Um, and how we're doing it too is still very like our goal is to have core products, our jeans, chino pants, t-shirt packs, and button ups, like essential color ones, in stock all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and still having those limited release drops but shipping immediately instead of waiting for pre-order product to come in. So that is our goal, because those limited release keeps our repeat customer rate over 51%. In a world
Wow.
where fashion ecom strives for 28%, we're doing 51. And that's because these people are so loyal and they're waiting for every new drop to build their wardrobe. And so
Wow.
the core products like jeans, you don't shop for as often once you have, all the
Yeah.
color jeans. And so
Yeah.
those are great for new customer acquisition products as well. So it's really like that happy medium is our best blend of, success, because those limited drops are high sell-through products and we're not sitting on inventory, and that's just a better way to do things.
Wow. That's cool. So as you're talking about this, so that and what else might be next for Dapper Boy? Is there anything really exciting on the horizon that you're kind of like, this is super exciting and I'm real excited about it?
Yeah, it's workwear. It's workwear. Yeah. And so we were part of this amazing film called Show Her the Money.
Uh-huh.
And this film crew was following us around during the most vulnerable time of our lives. We were just one of the sets of founders in this film. So again, like this film is about the lack of funding, for women-owned businesses coming from VC. And when we were selling our house, this film crew was following us around and, watching me flub up in pitches and like the craziest things. It's hard for me to watch, but I know the impact that it has. But at the same time, in the audience, in one of the screenings was a Hilton Hotel uniforms employee. And they said, "Oh my God, we need this for uniforms." And then I remembered my very first uniform I had to wear in the casino industry. And it was a blazer and pants. And I looked like Eddie Munster because I had to wear 3 sizes too big. And guess what? It's still the same way today. And
Wow.
so what a like, wrap this back to that day. It just made so much more sense. And so now we're almost done designing this line and start pitching to hotels. We made some great contacts within the luxury boutique hotel industry. I'm going to start also pitching some of these main stream brands as well. But now imagine
Wow.
you can feel confident, from your workday to the evening. And like imagine now these employees and how much better they're going to produce feeling
Yeah.
actually confident in themselves as they show up to work for the day. And so I'm so excited. This is a huge B2B opportunity, but
Yeah.
opportunity for our customers. And it's really, really huge and very exciting.
That is so cool because as a mom of, two sons who've worked in those businesses where they've had to wear uniforms, and it's not a one size fits all, and it does feel really
Right.
uncomfortable, and you can't seem to find, this will sound really stupid, but I'm going to throw it out there anyways. Have you ever seen the movie Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead?
Yes. Yes. Oh
Okay.
my God. I used to
So
love that.
so remember at the end how she reinvents school uniforms? She does that at the end when at the house she has the whole fashion show where she decides that because she discovers she's working for that company that's a uniform company, and she's thinking, I thought I was working in high fashion. Holy crap. But she decides
Yes,
to
that's right.
completely redo, and this is what that makes me think of. It becomes this whole idea of this is incredible. Now we can have it be something that people who have to wear these will feel good wearing. And that's a
Yes,
huge
absolutely.
confidence boost. That's a
Yes,
huge
yes.
confidence
People will,
boost.
yes, performance. I mean, really, truly. If I had this and felt confident going to work, I hated wearing that uniform every
Yeah.
day. Couldn't wait
Yeah.
to get it off. And you just kind of feel like, again, awkward. You're not
Mm-hmm.
performing your best because you're constantly just thinking about how this looks on me right now and how these customers are perceiving me.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Vicky, that's really very cool. That's so cool.
Yes,
I'm really
yes.
looking forward to seeing that because you're right. There's a whole world of, these stores that have the uniform, but they're just what they are. And you
Right.
just got to suck it up and do it. That's really
Yep.
great. That's really great.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank
we
you.
got to, I want to come back to you and hear more about that because that's going to be nice.
Yes,
I'll
absolutely.
go into a Hilton hotel and it's like, that's Vicky's.
Yep.
I know. That's a Dapper Boy. I know her.
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
Yep. Definitely.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Is there
awesome.
is there anything else you want to share? Any last thoughts you would want to share on our show today for everybody?
I just think that this ride has been crazy. If it's the
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs listening to this, sometimes it's like the craziest day and you feel the lowest of lows. But like remembering that there are so many small wins every single day and like kind of like feeling that and that you will always get to the next level. Like every no, every bad thing that happens is truly a lesson learned. You will get more resilient and you are on the path to your mission. Like stay the course, stay the course.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's wonderful.
Okay. All right. So I was thinking about this. I'm thinking 5 ways to build a brand on a bootstrap budget. One being your story is your marketing. So you don't need an ad spend to talk about your compelling story. Learn to tell it in 60 seconds, tell it everywhere. Two, community before customers. Build relationships before you have product to sell. Your early followers become your unpaid sales force. Three, earned media over paid media. Start practicing that first. Pitch yourself on podcasts, press, stages, whenever you can. One feature can outperform $5,000 in an ad campaign any day. Four,
Wow.
let your customers create your content for you. UGC testimonials and real photos cost nothing and convert better than polished brand shots. That is for sure. We have learned that along the way, the hard way sometimes. And five, remember that constraints make you actually creative. So not having money forces you to find these partnerships, barter, collaborations that actually build the brand deeper than cash ever could.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. I love that. I like that. That's so good. All right. Thank you for that. Oh, I'm going to keep that in mind because, we all have, not we all, but I know so many of us have these, people call them side hustles. And for some of us, they're not really side hustles. They're these
Right.
passion projects that we'd love to see take off. And hearing that really kind of boosts that idea of, okay, let me take a step back and then step forward so I can keep going.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. That's lovely. That's wonderful. Okay,
Of
so now the
course.
rapid five.
Yeah, yeah.
Ready?
I
Oh.
think so.
Um, what did you want to be when you grew up?
So I remember this in second grade in particular that the teacher asked the class, and I rose my hand. I said, "I want to be a comedian." That's what I said.
Oh
That's what I
my.
wanted to be.
Did you ever do anything about it?
No, I didn't.
No.
I do it. I do it through my commercials. All the like commercials that are funny, those are all written by me for sure.
I love that. I want to be a comedian. All right.
Yes,
All
yes.
right, Vicky. Thank you. Thank you, dear.
I don't want to be a comedian. That is for sure. But when I was little, I did.
Yeah, it seemed like a great idea. What always makes you smile?
My kids.
Yeah.
Heartbeat. They're twins, 8 years old, just turned, and they are the most innocent, creative, happy kids. And at the end of the day, when things are hard, their hugs are all I need. Honestly,
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah. That's
yeah.
yeah, I gotta give a ditto on that for me too. What do you know now as an adult that you wish you knew as a kid?
Competence is everything. Don't be afraid to ask questions in class. you know,
Yeah.
I remember like never raising my hand for whatever reason. I was just too afraid of judgment. Like no matter what, you're going on your path. Just be you. Don't be afraid to ask questions and connect with people as early and often as possible. You don't need to know everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and it's interesting because you brought up the fact that at first you thought you needed to know everything and realized, okay, wait a minute, I don't need to know everything. I maybe just
Right.
need to know this so I can at least
Yes.
start. Yeah.
Or the right people that can help you. And that's okay too. That's
Yeah.
okay too.
Yeah. And what's your guilty pleasure?
90s R&B.
Really?
I love it so much. Even when I'm working out at the gym, I'm listening to a slow jam. People think I'm listening to like something rocking out. Like I love slow jams.
Okay, it's not part of the rap. What's your like of the
Yeah.
90s R&B, like what would you say every time that song comes on, you're just like, okay, that's it. That's it.
It's it's Jodeci, Come and Talk to Me.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I love this. This is so good. All right.
Come and talk to me.
Yay! So
So
many
good.
memories are going through my head right now.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. And okay, cat or dog?
See, I really love both. Shoot, dog.
Dog.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess. I don't know. I've had a cat for so long now too. I mean, we don't have any animals right now, but
Right.
I had a cat for a long time. I love having a cat. They're so easy. But man, there's something about a dog that's just loyal. You could do stuff with and all that too. So I like them both.
Yeah, I do too. It's funny though, dogs, you can literally walk out the door, put the trash away, you come back and like, oh my God, where have you been?
Yes, yes,
It makes you
yes.
feel like you're the most important person on the planet.
Yeah, unconditional love. Where a cat's gonna be like, nope, it's on my
Yeah,
terms only.
whatever. Feed
Right.
me. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, Vicky, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been so wonderful to be able to
So
speak to
fun.
you, and definitely want to check back in with you to see how things are going and really follow up on the work close. And those would be really wonderful to follow up on. And
Yes.
so we'll definitely keep in touch and stay on top
Sounds
of that.
good. This is a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was glad that we could do this after Sacramento because I really loved meeting you, and to be able to spend some time with you today was really nice.
Yes, absolutely. Good
Thank
stuff.
you.
Thank you, Linda.
And thank you everybody for joining us today for F5 Collective Presents Women in Business, for joining us with Vicky Pasche. Dapper Boi information, a link is in the description below. Check out the clothes. You will see yourself there. You will feel energized and empowered, and spread the word. It's really fantastic stuff. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you again next time.